Yeah.
Plant Tech states ultra their nuclear arsenals, nuclear wars, inevitable, absent complete disarmament, and multitude of factors threat deterrence. First, arms race is coming now undermines the base of deterrence and guarantees nuclear war hypersonics, cause the evolution of command and preemptive strike because of war speed and warhead ambiguity and defense. Does assume states desiring crisis and stability set the set the vacuum created by the loss of any has been filled with nuclear cacophony, the initial vulnerability that under deterrence of to be a casualty. U.S. Russia and U.S. China for other perception the capability build of 3 countries are requiring offensive defensive capabilities, missive perceptions are nebulous, adversary made worst case assumption, and high decibel nuclear noise, new technologies under no control, many technologies such as cyber hypersonics, help time nuclear delivery will impact turns unprecedented with and not even completely understood yet. Use of HUV would be impossible to track. This would keep the adversary guessing this target missile and the warhead that's ambiguity use spark and burn escalation, the reduction in decision-making time, and the speed of it can compel nations to move forward with launch, move towards launch warning, which further raises the risk of inadvertence and change leaders consider shifts in strategic posture from a low alert in favor of adopting launch warning, misposture would introduce greater miscalculation. The chance of nuclear war significantly heightened the states seems seduced by strategic instability. States like Pakistan now believe that instability through brinksmanship on enhances deterrence, even Trump can show similar behavior. Second is that wildfire global nuclear proliferation makes restraint impossible as escalation now among new and established powers that's compatible by appetite for crisis and stability and fears first strike due to new tech like BGS and BMD Kapoor 19 to further proliferate with the run culture. Saudi Arabia and Turkey nuclearizing allies that plus faith in the U.S. deterrence such as Japan or South Korea develop nuclear capabilities which set off a chain reaction moving to regions from new conventional nuclear, making nuclear exchange possible. Large groups face various collective action, make arms control hard use, and bold states settle scores, lead to nuclear confrontation. New nuclear states of preferences differ from the old, more aggressive. They harbor deeply revisionist goals willing to risk national catastrophe. Pakistan is a case in point. The old nuclear powers may have greater appetites for risk. Russia sees an expanded role for nukes, using them over NATO. Russian strategists believe to de-escalate conflicts with attacks and new attack conventional munitions strike targets quickly and improve missile defense. Destroy second strike, highly destabilizing encourage arms race and compel states to launch first, so their forces are not destroy China. Move to launch on warning response to U.S. PGS and missile defense. And third is that AI and cyber tech costs for strike miscalculation, nuclear war, hacking, CNC, and communication time pressure from machine speed, deepfake state data poisoning, AI and strategic ambiguity, past checks don't apply. Johnson 20 AI with the cyber income force multipliers enabling sophisticated cyber tech on large scale by faster speeds across multiple domains with greater anonymity. The speed enables multiple detector to penetrate cyber defenses, find new vulnerabilities, aircraft, nuclear subs, vulnerable low-cost cyber attacks will adopt AI techniques target dual use early warning systems, e.g. NC3I this could cause manipulation of weapons known as data poisoning during the early stages. It's unclear whether an adversary intends to collect intel or attack loading cyber offense defense will compound fear, striking an increased first mover incentive, strategic ambiguity to main trigger, use them or lose them situations. Chinese handles to be vulnerability. NC3 is to cyber even if espionage a highly escalatory threat that even a modicum of uncertainty during a crisis would increase the incentive to strike preemptively. A cyber attack would infiltrate the nuclear system, threaten communications, and unbeknown to a target gain control of nuclear and non-nuclear CNC reports of successful cyber attacks and world warning systems such as cyber intrusion. NC3 is becoming a reality. The perception of this capability exists would be inherently destabilizing. The states have shifted posture to reflect these AI enhanced cyber attacks. Nuclear systems would be impossible to detect and achieve within a short time frame for a strike. The command is less than 3 minutes. The time frame put leaders under intense pressure to escalate with incomplete info, inability to determine the intent may lead an actor conclude an attack was intended to undermine nuclear deterrent deepfake with data poisoning its organized scorcher crisis between states. The black box problem can have these dynamics and sufficient understanding how they would complicate the attacks to determine data sets have been deliberately compromised. Even the nuclear systems detect the subversion, heightened attention may impel militaries to put their nukes on high alert status to accept a worst case scenario thinking that may spark inadvertent escalation. Cyber intelligence gathering use could easily be misinterpreted as a prelude to a preemptive attack. Fourth is nuclear terrorism and cause global nuclear war. Many people, organizations access truth after buying motivation makes activists such as certain causes World War III, in 19. Terrorist organizations such as ISIS have the capability of virus stealing use and launching a terrorist attack would cause more damage psychologically, which is what these ISIS is highly organized and capable allies still threat. They would attack Israel with a nuke that would drop us in the World War III. Any nuclear attack in the world would trigger a massive military response. A lot of people would die. The indirect consequences of disease, starvation, and social breakdown. There's no shortage of terrorist groups that would attack the U.S. with a nuke. A deadly match casualty attack would be detonation of nuclear device acquisitions on either question. Terror organization for ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and the others we haven't learned about yet remain threats. The ability of terrorists to acquire nukes is a lot more sophisticated than 20 years ago. Until never foolproof and never prepared enough to guarantee will never have their chimney ways the nuclear device in the U.S. And even one detonation is enough cause extinction. Once the nuclear war ends, the human race through winter firestorms, EMP blasts, ozone damages, and meltdowns at Star 14. The latent climate to develop nuclear war, including 1% of arsenals, consequences including catastrophic destruction of global climate and ozone and agriculture will be affected with 2 billion people. The peer-reviewed studies predict that war is for the human race even after arsenal reduction could produce a winter resulting in destruction. The firestorms would produce millions of tons of smoke, which would rapidly encircle the earth for a decade, creating ice age conditions. The cold would eliminate growing seasons for a decade. Electromagnetic pulse would destroy electronic devices. Every reactor would instantly melt on Manglik radio follow make US and Iran habitable. Second is that Russian perimeter system automatically guarantees dead hand without human intervention. Pack 18, the most terrifying doomsday system would automatically launch missiles without need for human during nuclear attack. The essence spoken perimeter all is on perimeter retaliatory strike. The system is functioning, launching nuclear ICBMs. All communications were lost of command would launch. And the reason that cobalt bombs are coming now. Jeff 19 and DR building cobalt bombs Russia at the same path for its nuclear doomsday weapons. Makes for a fatal extinction of vaccine 14 the non-radioactive cobalt 59 casing would absorb neutrons and become cobalt 60, which is radioactive, has a longer half-life and then followed at a quantity distributed to kill all humans. And fourth, super volcanoes back 97 finding the earth with nuclear explosion might increase volcanic activity. The nuclear force could destroy civilization, could turn our world into a dark, radioactively polluted planet. Nuclear overkill 100 megatons represents only a small proportion against large enough time-scale nuclear wars. 100% Nebula, Halloween 85. The history shows the following, hoping that each new weapon will not be used against it's a mass 50,000 nuclear weapons able to destroy every city in the world. Nuclear wars in Nebula 1% per year builds of 100% when compared over sufficient long time does not make sense. Talk about the probability of world living nuclear being low without comparing it to time probabilities 1% per year, then expecting about 100 years low probability changes time. It does not change the Nebula now. This nuclear war is 100% certain. The only way to prevent it is to survive Russian roulette is stopping and disarm is key. Revitalizes and multilateralism and creates structural de-escalation. That's where maintained by the peace through disarmament debates increase more profound reflection on states, UDC community, disarmament practice and helps support the national rule of law, talks about an opportunity to engage with more systemic issues that stand in the way of peace and disarmament process offer an important chance for transformation towards a more peaceful way of resolving conflicts by changing perception of threats and by building confidence. Disarmament contributes into the institutionalization of a cooperative security order. Disarmament can promote multilateralism and maintain norms.
Oh, Cossacks, you good?
Yeah.
How do states disarm?
They remove their nuclear weapons.
What happens?
We don't specify a particular process.
Cool. Let's go to the Brem evidence. How does disarm or revitalize like confidence building and cooperation?
So it talks about how through moving through disarmament and sort of engaging, like the process of mass disarmament would help revitalize things like international institutions, things like the NPT, etc., and would also serve as sort of
let's talk about like
that
the
can stand for
connection. How does like disarmament like revitalize cooperation? Like how does
nuclear disarmament would fundamentally change the way international relations works. It would push states to far more cooperative solutions because sort of the specter of deterrence that instigates cooperative or non-cooperative antagonistic relations would literally go away.
Let's go to the arms racing scenario. Who arms races?
Who arms races?
Who develops the arms?
So a lot of countries are developing arms right now. Our evidence specifically isolates Russia, China, and the U.S. is building up offensive and defensive capabilities. There's also the proliferation. The Kapoor evidence mentions of things like PGS and BMD among many nations, including the U.S. and its allied nations, which undermines the potential for a second strike.
Is PGS bad?
We don't take we think that PGS causes countries to be worried about losing their second strike capability.
It's like a yes/no question. Is it bad or not?
The plan doesn't have an effect on PGS. We think that it causes a nuclear strike, and so we should get rid of the ability for a nuclear strike. We do not affect the development of PGS in that certain way.
Let's talk about the Kapoor evidence. At the bottom it says there are improved missile defense systems, but then right after it says that this erodes second strike capabilities. If countries have the ability to defend their nuclear weapons, then why wouldn't second strike solve deterrence?
Well, the point is they think the countries are worried, okay, they have an increased strike capability because of PGS and their own nukes, plus they can defend against any retaliation, which makes it far more likely that they would strike because they think,
that ensures second strike capability, right?
No, the point is
if you have a better defense system,
especially given power gaps. For example, the U.S. has a lot more nukes than, say, China. China has a second strike capability now, but new technology throws that into sort of disarray. And
let's go to the terror scenario.
Watch and warning.
Terror scenario. You talk about empirics. Where are the empirics of terrorist groups acquiring like nuclear fissile material?
I don't think I said the word empirics.
Okay, so it's not empirical.
I mean, if they had stolen a nuke, our scenario would be non-unique. There are examples of them infiltrating different places and getting close and stuff.
Where were those places?
There was a power plant, or not a power plant. There was a new weapons facility, I think, in Belgium.
They invaded Belgian nukes.
There was a.
That's the scenario.
I think it was somewhere in Europe. I think it was Belgium or France, but.
That's fine. It's fourth in case. Can I use your stand?
What's your arm case?
Top down.
total chaos. Yeah, all around. It's horrible. We don't go because we don't go just because like it's definitely like over finals and stuff. Our school won't let us do anything close to finals.
Okay, it should be some.
Is there ever an outlet back there? Or... Oh hell yeah, there's one back here. What? No, there isn't.
It's behind George.
There's one here, and I have an extension cord, so if you wanna.
It's under the bed?
It looks like it. All the wires like.
Could we try to like here,
Well,
George, grab hold?
Here, if Josh doesn't mind.
Hang on, George. Hang on.
I mean, honestly, this light's more
Yeah, right here.
than anything. So.
Alright,
Oh,
there's
nifty.
an outlet here if it is left here.
Nah, we're good. This is better.
We got a little.
Actually, can you just unplug that
Extension
anyway?
thing floating around.
Yeah. Alright, 4 case.
Oh, there's
Yeah.
a switch right. I missed it. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, tell me when everyone gets it. Can you hand me my water bottle? It's not really good.
Oh. Sure.
I'm on Marriott. Are you guys on Marriott guest?
I'm on Stanford.
I'm on there, I guess. Is this a Bonvoy member? Latin elite.
What is that?
Beach just sent me a message that said sucking
Cardinal
to
with a capital
breakfast.
C.
That was my argument. Like they saw they weren't on a pairing, so they
Yeah,
lied.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did something.
Yeah.
Oh, just the what?
Yeah, if I had not had a flight, one would have been back asleep. There would have been no good.
Okay, already said it.
I want breakfast. What the hell's Sunny?
Wait, can we actually get breakfast after this?
No.
Well.
Well,
There
okay.
it is.
I am. Does this say Foxman?
Yeah.
Okay. Then.
Alright, Foxman.
It's normal.
Ready for it.
Is everyone good?
Yeah.
I need to download
What
it.
a flex. Jasmine's gonna create one that's just called the DA.
You good?
Splitting up.
Yes. Good.
Everyone's good?
Alright, let's go.
First off, interpretation, the affirmative must specify which states the defendant delineated text and the one to see violation. They don't vote for civil ground. I don't know what this does in counterpoints that can predict against your plan, what arguments will become relevant after the states there's no generic new good offense other than the church which asks cut specific answers to. Since everything this side declares the other two generic and or one or specific to another period. For example, the no-code regime collapses and makes sense. Versus the no-code, but not against the impact of checks. It's they don't expect they can just shift to their after depending on the one team literally shooting at inventory which wrecks. Competitive independently CX doesn't solve 8 points unreliable. They just don't follow 6 they predict to shoot. But not until spinners because they shift out because CP point is perhaps I don't know what they'll be willing to clarify this means that can go 6 minutes later to send against screen over. And cross experience education border basically the English rules have all education gives us portable for life like reaching things drop the debate everyone this sensitive relations to make reference and care respond to B point best feature best sense of pleasure of use competing interests based on ability and arbitrary judgments to do your base meter conflict competing interests we just by true balance and opposite not just like turnips nor as it's a logic you shouldn't be fair listen limit sex for engaging to B point is normally I can't concede the character but it's not much for me to argue for everyone C point is showing the forces players to rescue can't let the tuner next off the interpretation the affirmative beta must be either be the standard or rule the violation you don't want to stress you I don't know what matters when you're framing ideas of exactly matters may vary means I can't engage authentically use a bunch of random cards we could be interpreted in the one depending on the one and C second is resolvability if there's a speed of whether certain impacts matter at the end of the value just as intervene because there's no simple sanitation referred to the third off nuclear renaissance coming now solves climate change space shuttle motor on 18 so nuclear powers is even starting to grasp the values of returns energy of the military so pushing the boundaries made them never considered overthinking Peter Newton's space exploration also security advancement global revolution active battle integrated solution nuclear power is the only force capable of empowering missions for the solar system cooking shape problems critical faster father everyone before nuclear to double the propulsion efficiency motivations are legislated in speed renewed showing a nuclear renaissance. The future is looking more resilient, and nuclear zero stops its strong anti-proliferation norms, block access to nuclear material and reactor development. That's Kumar 17. War trying to indicate renaissance revival in many species have rehost faith and processing factors and penetrate drive the renaissance. The renaissance leading to the development in industrial world, holding the tech and resisting the access through non-proliferation, supplier cartels, underdeveloped regions cannot harness economic potential under the domination of advanced nations over the storm and its normative structures have pronounced with the development of those who manage technology access to fissile materials, using within our regimes or attempt to develop indigenous capabilities as mismatched with the global norms by the Western oriented global security community. The resonance is about untapped access to nuclear fuel cycles and fissile materials. The epicenter could be shifted to the developing world, and rapid spread of nuclear power technology is vital to rapid decarbonization, licensing, export restrictions, prevent solutions to climate change. Goal seen at L19. The question is how to replace fossil renewables only this year. Wind and solar are not available on the cloud. Renewables work only with fossil backup, but action to promote model rapid decarbonization with nuclear project advance of nuclear project has contribution to energy. Most of the fast addition to clean electricity or countries rolling out nuclear. The key to standardization and repetition. Economic problems are solvable. Further energy reactors can be mass produced. Some electricity at lower cost reactors can be applied to the world. Leaking. Poor countries going there for energy. We need government on the side of the clean energy transformation. The nuclear process for energy. Humanity has ever received the great gift of the new green and warming causing extinction. Jew and Ramadan 17. Warming is certified degrees Celsius, but existential restoration needed for risk of climate change. Supporting system to extinction. First is to be 3.5 degrees Celsius. It's like irreversible climate changes. 4 degrees Celsius. People extraordinary use human 5 degrees Celsius accompanied by ocean acidity exposed 90% species to extinction. Climate change forced biodiversity loss, mental water and food security. No way to categorize warming as existential, and space colonization solves every existential threat. Failure makes human extinction inevitable. That's Kaku 18. It is inescapable that humanity will occur at extinction level event. We can all life forms more than 99.9% frequency odds are decided against us. One day the planet will become inhabitable. Nature will turn around us with a hostile environment. Organisms inevitably leave it. After that, we must leave the earth and we will perish. There's already 6.5 million exchange cycles. Replace there's our own folly. Global warming, modern warfare, weaponized microbes could wipe out the human race. We make sure the carrying capacity of nation. There are natural deaths we little control. Another I say the civil war came on a national park may awaken, engulfing the earth in the choking poisonous cloud. We face another monetary or commentary effects only matter of time before a large asteroid hits the earth by million years from now. This will spend the mission human makes life impossible. We are repeating tools that will clarify the odds. We will become one of the 99% life superstition because of a single planet. We needed insurance policy. The fourth off is the affirmative cause of shift to chemical and biological events. Empirics and economic theory prove neuron 16 empirical inductive historical patterns and opportunities across elasticity of demand using control variables to criminal resistance will find demand for NBC weapons to be correlated with functions as substitutes with one stage of nuclear weapons. They also give physical chemical biological abilities to produce demand, reduce the global supply costs to produce CBW, substitute for direct compliance, and the trade-off is directly shift away from nuclear weapons causes bioweapon acquisition. That's Horowitz. 40 must the effects of nuclear weapons on the nation. Bioweapons or other weapons can also be considered permanent nuclear weapons. Strong effect on pursuing simply possessing a nuclear weapon decrease the civil pursue bioweapons. Virtually zero consider the understanding of nuclear weapons. Probably they made the position of other WGs and that causes extinction. Millet and Snyder Beetle 17 advanced bioweapons in human existence historically responsible for the gentle society. Think unlikely spread of world population overcome their resistance if it should find measurable and transmission. Trade-off. These arguments do not rule out species by disease. There are historical examples of population wiped out. Many diseases are approved. These forces can be realized by experiences, cruelty, and indestructibility, lethality, and can overcome computers. The advantage proper beyond gut solvency. Perception causes prolif turns and worsens every impact organ. 15. When they first rotate, when nuclear non-proliferation will fall apart completely without nuclear weapons collapse regime, it is very just following nuclear rotate with producing nuclear weapons. And deterrence is still effective and key to a slow war. The alternative is World War III. Royal Sovereignty to the core world because deterrence and the population is the cost user can be robbed using deterrent war could break out anywhere. 10. Flash one could lead to world research and system based on World War II. Game away when Washington retribution retrenchment is leading to giant coast regions from the nuclear epoch, some deal that and masking the international system need robust deterrence without war. Deals can be broken. The message up in order with deterrence and Gaddafi saw what happened at Saddam. The deterrence king sparked from the inflamed the missile to keep intervention will cut the next two cards and armed risking instability designed by the past 7 decades, but empirics prove that nukes do stabilize. Pull off at us at all 19. Has to get nuclear has been destabilizing. Most states are never interested in developing nuclear. The few did not give up before the nuclear threshold. Despite consistently our arms assessment, few have chosen full capability. Argentina, Sweden, and SoCo on partial nuclear programs, but chose to abandon nuclear pollution on handling destabilizing. There's a logical argument to turn that more nukes might that being very really concerned about the nuclear space unrestricted conventional conflict and global and present nuclear weapons. There's as real another example of nuke acquiring excellent advantage and cut the Bradley evidence and go and cut the next two cards. The arms racing scenario they have is garbage. The evidence straight up doesn't say that other countries perceive strikes as nuclear and doesn't have uniqueness for country one to strike. Other countries obviously wouldn't because they know the condition with the use in the nuclear. They can't solve word ambiguity. Countries have no way of verifying that the use complied with this side of real them, so they don't know. We feel it's durable. Second scenario doesn't make any sense. Nuclear development takes time, requires complicated development, and well, but infrastructure doesn't have to be a magical one. New countries like Japan and SoCo don't even a remote possibility. The bottom of the card, the Kapur evidence contradicts itself. It says countries have improved missile defenses, but that would mean increased extra capability without disincentivized armies because it proves deterrence is true. The cyber attack is way power. They know you can notice the practices are coming now. Just that it's theoretically possible. The first card of is about cyber attacks writ large. It is number 1 for why a small hack would spur escalation. The bottom of the card flips negative. It talks about perception, but that proves AI attacks are impossible to verify the attacker, which reaches the chance of escalation. No reason a major leader would escalate. Now the nuclear scenario, no nuclear acquisition. Miller, 18 terrorist groups have every limited nuclear less progress. Terrorists are likely to get involved in the program because no country wants to risk being lit for terrorist nuclear. Not likely to be able to steal one. Only condition they don't solve nuclear terror. Fissile material is still vulnerable in the process. Destroying and insane light nuclear instability nuclear energy. They don't solve prolif because elimination assumes the same writers of the older impacts are enabled. This turns the F because new nuclear powers are more vulnerable to accidents, essentially without established nuclear powers. No scenario for nuclear causing full-blown nuclear war. No country brutality of cooler. Jordan with a mass retaliation. We just call it Russia and Holland confirmed. This one, this ludicrous. They don't have energy. The impact debate. One detonation doesn't cause exchange and empirically denied by every previous weapon system. Japan, their evidence is about nuclear weapons, sons of weapon. It also doesn't exchange nuclear gas. Composition with hydrophilic black carbon because aberration results in a brain effect that quickly reverses nuclear coolant based on a team. With the worst case scenario, only runs up on the environment makes it rain in the atmosphere. These economies are at the high find rate. The inherent application that lead to oversaturation, BC reduction, climate effects on right, missing in sedimentation, reduces positive voltage, emissions, activity, precipitation, every turn based on the first one of the initial BC. Got the card at initial BC was before, so come on.
Wait, I heard at the end you said initial BC.
Yeah, so the way
Yeah.
I thought that initial BC was after 70% rains out within the first one. So if you want to go at the end of the card, it's 70% rains out within the first one. Because I was like 70% rains out within the first one of the initial BC.
Okay.
Just read the card backwards.
Alright, let's talk about, I guess the link so where do these new power plants pop up?
What are you talking about?
Renaissance, the nuclear power decide, where do these new nuclear power plants come up?
Where do they come up?
Yeah, where do they pop up?
What that's such
Where
a broad
are they
question.
built? Where you say nuclear power is coming now, right?
Oh, okay,
Where are
yeah,
they
yeah,
built? What does the plan do to?
I guess it's not really about plants, moreover than the technology created as a result of nuclear energy, and that's spurring a new space innovation, things like propulsion efficiency,
Wait,
the ability of to.
but your evidence says the plan reduces the ability of developing countries to get this.
Yeah,
So they don't build plants; they just create nuclear power plant
No, no, no.
technology.
that's the
without
link
building a
evidence.
plant.
It says that in a world of global disarmament, big countries like the U.S. and Russia would spur and muscle in because they're so scared of rogue countries getting access to physical. Can I please explain the link argument because it'll probably answer your next question.
Alright.
They're gonna go and muscle into these rogue countries and completely halt the development of any fissile material related to nuclear energy. That means that all the space colonization, all the development needed to solve global warming would be completely resolved because the technology requires that material that wouldn't happen in a world of global disarmament.
Okay. Let's talk about the Kaku evidence. Where, when do we get off the rock?
With nuclear technology, it would be pretty soon.
Pretty soon, isn't it?
No. So, I guess we don't specify a specific date, but the argument is that the progression of nuclear.
NASA is gonna have a mission to Mars in the 2030s. Is there any time before that your evidence says, or we need to create an entire human colony, right? That is
So the
self-sufficient.
argument is that
When
the
are we able to
Renaissance
do
is
that?
coming now, but that only happens as a result of nuclear technology.
I understand your link argument.
Yeah.
I'm confused what the time frame is for us being able to fully sustain an entire human population on another planet, and where your evidence outlines that time frame.
It's talking about how nuclear technology propels missions further out into space. And
That is your link argument. Where does it create a time frame
No,
for
the
your
link is
impact?
that global disarmament stops the
Or
proliferation.
that's your. Where does your evidence isolate a time frame for when space call is successful? Given the status quo.
cool. The first card says in the middle of the card, we can go beyond the solar system in 12 to 14 years.
All right, 12 to 14 years. When does it say we're able to I guess, live on another place? Because we need water, we need oxygen, anti-gravity, etc. Where does your evidence say when will we get that tech?
Obviously, I'm not an astronaut, but I'm saying
Is
that.
your evidence? I mean, I assume they are
Yeah,
experts.
so it talks about how in 12 to 14 years we are able to colonize and go out further into the solar system.
Alright.
But that only happens with the nuclear renaissance, and that's going to come now with the development of nuclear technology.
Okay, stop her at 216.
Yeah. More than the quality control order.
216 used.
Left.
Okay.
It'll be, God, what is this? The case, then the, what is it, state spec, and like standard, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. Nuclear power, and then, what was that? Bioweapons. Yeah. Also,
Would the case just be top down?
yeah.
This is the most uncomfortable air conditioning.
Do you regularly sit on vacation?
Did you already send out the doc?
It's sent.
Alright.
Well, I sent first sent it's like saying loading. Yeah. This is a good height.
Do we need to keep the door open? Is that like a requirement?
It's not a requirement, it's a strong preference, but there are people out there being loud. Go ahead and shut it. Stinky. Ice water. Yeah.
You're not gonna want it more than that.
Oh, you underestimate.
No.
Oh, come on, you baby. It's fine.
Whoa, it's gonna be chilly.
Yeah, put it back. This week.
Put it right
What's
there.
the difference?
It's gonna get super gross in here.
Alright, yeah, once
You
it
know
starts
it's
to
gonna get gross.
You can, then I can see.
Alright, ready?
Yeah. You ready?
Sorry, is it spec this
So,
other thing?
F,
Case?
spec, the case on top. Case first,
Oh,
the two specs in order. Case and the one in C in order.
There we
oh,
go.
nifty. Okay.
Alright.
Love that breath. Alright, whenever you're ready.
Good?
Good, yeah.
Bad, you good?
Yeah.
Alright.
The Olgan evidence, we get durable. If we add anything else, screws the F, because the inherency is always against us, and we're trying to disarm that always because it kills time tune. Also means Ash will lose all rounds. It's also key to topic education. The resolution about whether disarmament is even worth it, which always means we only get it for 2 months of deterrent stuff. Top levels that their evidence has assumed disposition of world leaders to favor crisis and stability. Pakistan, North Korea, the U.S. and Russia all believe in uncertainty, which means deterrence will worth it. Set the evidence. Arms controls failing now, which removes the mutual vulnerability. The deterrence rests on, which destabilizes the balance. This set the evidence. Also, hypersonics, they move 20 times faster than most news, so their presence causes short and launch protocols. And then it's destabilized. That's also the set the evidence. And hacking also undermines deterrence because it can be solved. Also, the Brem evidence is conceded, and it says that we institutionalize a cooperative security order that resolves in impetus for a war in the first place. The arms racing stuff. The most recent evidence proves that they're building capabilities like subs, etc., and non-nuclear weapons. So set the and Kapoor crossflight stuff from above. They say arms racing snare is garbage. They want to strike. Our evidence says that they want to strike now. They're moving till China's moving to launch a warning. That's the set the evidence. The next one, there's no impact on solving warhead MU because no one can nuke anyone else. The second scenario stuff, our evidence says it's possible to proliferate. Iran proves and it'll cause cascading change, and all they need is a motivation. The next analytic, no, it means that they're scared of a successful first strike, not the other one. Now you should extend our hacking argument. There are launch lists of warrants, acts of command and control, or the nukes allowed for remote launch. If it's not successful, it causes shifts in the launch posture to make the escalation inevitable. Even the lead up ensures escalation. Great fears of imminent attacking increases first strike and crisis instability, and anyone can do it because of AI. That's the Johnson evidence. Cyber attack is argument is not power attack. Our evidence from a week ago says that it is coming now, and it's a big danger. That it doesn't. It's not about cyber attacks writ large, about nuclear command and control being hacked. The bottom of the card does not flip negative. It says that they would escalate because they assume the worst of everyone else. The Mueller evidence for evidence most state organizations like Al Qaeda and ISIS have demonstrated which go nuclear evidence underestimates the likely given growth capabilities. We solve a nuclear terror fiat is immediate and there's no latency. Fiat does encompass other states that our evidence says nuclear war or terror would escalate and prefer evidence on this issue. For example, Israel would rise their evidence. Cobalt turns it because the results in rain out the star evidence is pure, precise, peer-reviewed studies and says that nuclear winter is a certainty and their evidence is way too limited. Cobalt turns it because it lasts longer than the rain out spec. Counter-interpretation, the app doesn't need to specify past resolution. Arbitrariness, their interpretation isn't grounded in the words of talk means unpredictable and cause them to be rigorous. Since they arbitrarily say we have to spec states engage forces to expect who votes for the bill in Congress, what color ink to print on, etc. Turns the app in 6-minute plain text and recent debate on tiny process debates instead of the core controversy, kill topic education, that outweighs seconds and ground. The app would specify things to skirt the link to our distance. Our interpret is better for Nigerian because they can stake us with things cross the checks, solves their often because they have to have distance for each state so it doesn't eliminate drop the argument sticking with all states reasonability good enough coming interpretation because reason the top is fine to find the most optimal interprets that education standard specs thumbs down RVI this is terrible counter we don't have specified standards infinite regress that was above just crossplay everything from above it applies nuclear power no space called the time frame is too far out we have no evidencing where we will be able to live elsewhere nuclear power causes terror power 17 nuclear power has been recognized by experts as targets nuclear power since conventional enemies and nuclear enemies perpetrators of terror surveilled and official nuclear sites security measures very widely they have no binding standards the IAEA inspectors don't do not verify measures the country adopts on laws and this turns any reason nuclear power is good this Popper 17 motivation for attacking nuclear facility may be to disrupt operations non-state action which will eliminate energy source for vulnerable components could disrupt energy production for 2 months including turbine generator conductors transformers circuit breakers and switches and Zhu concedes that their impact starts at 5% Zhu 17 objects of this speech are assessed a low probability 5% marker at 5% go to the bioweapons page extend the Graham evidence it means we solve war that was the other page Horowitz evidence of disproves reverse causality Horowitz 14 found the evidence just that leadership the weapons of the subseason prolife increases the demand for CBW capabilities stripping proliferation risks are statistical model support that nuclear biological and chemical weapons function is complex and no impact uniqueness and more on 19 the terrorists use biological agents because they're difficult to detect bioterrorism agents are common for terrorists because they are easy and inexpensive to prove nukes that way bioweapons can sequel 17 for humans are geographically widespread diverse there are isolated pockets disease require vectors to spread perfect disease still doesn't kill everyone you Greenlanders and people in Antarctica people on some reason the few who are immune will eventually come out hiding and your way out of trouble seriously standard spec is ridiculous you should cross off your flaw
alright finance the RVI what was the reason
RVI this argument because it's so terrible for debate.
What was the you didn't read a warrant for why it was terrible for debate?
I think it's self-evident. You can argue against it or go for it. I would actually like
on
to
the
do
standard
so.
on the spec shell you read CX checks. Did you read no ground loss?
No.
But you read drop the argument?
I read drop the argument reasonability, yes.
What counts as good enough?
I mean, it's obviously there is
Okay,
some level of intervention necessary, but that's inevitable in any theory debate. Our argument is that if there's a threshold where the
Could you
ethics
explain
meets it, then it's fine.
Reasons to reject the team, the RVI, and then what else? Nothing else?
No.
Just making sure.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was the only reason to reject the team, was the RVI.
Yeah, the RVI, no reason to reject the team.
Alright, cool.
I was kind of joking, but yeah. You're trying to prep, right?
Yep. the RVI briefly, then the spec shell. There's no doubt.
How long is the overview on the spec shell gonna be?
A little while.
Alright. That should be enough.
Is everyone good?
Standard spec, state spec.
Yeah, just the RVI and the standard spec.
So standard spec and then answering RBI.
No, the RVI and then state
then-
spec. State spec.
Oh, then state spec.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So much spec.
Is everyone good?
Yeah.
There was no warrant for the RBI and the 1A. They just think that standard spec was better. They don't have a reason why it's better. They've considered all 4 reasons why they don't get an RBI coming out of the 1A. In the first one, it's a logical usual win for being first. So let me say, for engaging someone, they consider that logic outweighs any sort of obvious. The only thing that stands still in the face of any is, and also, the RBI was not warranted, and there's no reason why standard spec is fair. Independent of that, they have no reason why they are bad. They conceded all 4 reasons. We outweigh on the strength of link. They've also conceded chilling effect, which is that it forces you to be more better. It forces you to be better, and people bait out the RBI. The stage spec show. The overview of the state spec gives you to vote neg for a model debate where the friend has to specify the states in the plan, rather than a model which the applicant encouraged to be as vague and restricted as possible and wait until CX or the one area to state what they defend. Their interrupt kills negative prevents us from going in depth and reading a case under the contest the nuances of the applicant said gives us less than 3 minutes to figure out what the one and C will that kills clash and fairness by exacerbating the infinite prevent, forcing us to generics. They don't give you the specificities. Remember, it's not about this abuse, it's a question of models, and their one is what they can always shift depending on the one and C. The one and C will always become reactionary, will always shift on the one and C depending on the 1 and C. The strategy standard uniquely outweighs. One is intrinsic. This debate is a competitive game where both sides need an equal chance to win. Ultimately, we're both here to win, which proves, for instance, a non-negotiable side constraint. Even if our interrupt doesn't perfectly model real-world decision-making, there's no impact of that because debate is a game, not an educational exercise. Second is reversibility. You can always read literature or learn about decision-making outside the ground, but an unfair decision is permanent and is the only impact the ballot can resolve. Third is it turns all of your offense. 8th one is clash. They sabotage our pre-round prep, but not spec since negative or how about specific states are good, but we can never be sure they'll give us a link to that means or forces your index like T or K that link to every app and don't produce nuanced speech about the details of the plan. People in this topic educated non-specifying results in bad education about nukes with no discussion of the specific advantages and disadvantages of each state, which is what the topic is actually about. C point is advocacy, so it's not specking incentivizes you to be a shifty and constantly reclarifying delinking offense, which results in irresolvable debates about what impacts actually matter instead of substantive debates that foster the skills they want. There are 3 uniqueness questions that should frame your ballot. All of these are tiebreakers that you can hang your hat around. One is the negatives getting roasted. There's a huge topic for playing. Now there are at least 10 equalizations and more depending on definitions. Tons of new types and more. There's no generic news good offenses. Global next year is obviously good, which means only we get specific country offense, like machine collapse or a scenario with a neighbor. This means that if you are unsure about your options, you should overcorrect towards voting for the neighbor to make decisions more equitable and make debates winnable first. This flips all the reasonability offense because it proves that it's try or die for a balanced version of the topic. Smart ass will be built to answer core ground like deterrence, and which means that maximizing net ground is necessary to give us a fighting chance versus tiny apps. Second is education. This is the first actual foreign policy topic other than military in literally 2 seasons, which gives us the opportunity to develop the intricacies of deterrence, dynamic state, interest in more. Their inter forces stale and repetitive debates instead of allowing for creative innovation on issues like international cooperation or alliances. The counter-inter proper overview of all the offense. The 2-NR decision to go for spec was based on the 1-AR being bland, and you cannot blitzstorm through 3 blocks and not actually engage with any of the arguments. The none of the analytics are complete sentences, much less complete arguments. But you should hold the line if your understanding of these arguments changes from what you have floated in the 1-AR to their explanation in the 2-AR. It's a new argument. You should strike it off your flow. Anything incentivizes a 5-second 1-AR belief that can be interpreted in different ways in reading generic spec blocks that force 2-NR over application allow 2-AR spin, which obviously destroys class. We don't have fully developed so it's their burden to make actual answers. The line below. They say arbitrariness and infinite regress. 1 is our shell position, progression resolution is the states specific to top and extra. We've given you examples as to how you could just pick out of certain states and re-clarify depending on the 1 and C, which means it's always going to be reactionary and shifting is always in terms of your offense. Second, this is not arbitrary. The state being is around in the literature. Obviously, different countries have different disarmament plans. The first question out of context was how did they disarm, which only, even if it's not about this shell, it only bolsters the story and the abuse of the shell because it always proves that they're willing to re-clarify and re-specify depending on the actual depending on the 1 and C. Third is there's no impact. We have proven the debate is better under our model, which is what the judge should vote for. Fifth, this is not regressive, so there's only limited number of things you can spec in the top. You can only specify states, you can only specify nukes. Other than that, there's literally other thing else. They haven't made a claim as to why this offense. Sixth is fifth is even if this abuse is not consensual, crossplay all of the debate about models. It's not about in this round do you think there is abuse or are dealing there was abuse in other ones. It's a question of models, and their model said that they don't have to specify anything, which is always going to be shifting this, and that's the argument that they 2 error and 1 error did not answer. They didn't say neg ground. Their neg ground argument is backwards. Specifying an actor can only increase our neg ground because spec means you have links to disads, whereas vagueness means we carry any argument agent-based disads. Since the 1 error can just shift, even if there are more variations, have those variations increase and improve neg ground. So only we have offense. D modularization are also better, so we can cut bidirectional actor counterpoints. And this has all three. Then they say CX checks. They've conceded 2 reasons why CX isn't checked. One is CX isn't non-unique. I stopped trying for this. Okay. 432 use. When a CX isn't non-unique, any of our offensive text gives us something simple so we can hold you as opposed to complicated cards that don't have clear conclusion that they can spin. We can explain why nukes are good. They've conceded 2 reasons why CX isn't solved. First is unreliable. This is on flucius, so we can misconstrue what happened. Second is they conceded preps to. I don't know what they're willing to clarify until CX, which means I could go 6 minutes planning to read a decide and then get infinitely correct. They've also conceded infinitely regressive. This just why the friend same plan. Ask me for an crossing. Their tag asked me about them crossing infinite regress. Kills norms. There's no broad line. Their verifiability one was also conceded. We can't know if they would actually specify. People should have been something to be shared if possible. Now the reasonability that they've conceded arbitrariness coming out of the one to see competing interests prevention and opposing their own BS meter and less complementary determining abuse. Anything else also anything that parties together with abuse. Judge intervention uniquely outweighs A point is reversibility. You can win debates in your competing terms, but I can't reverse vote against you because it's not out of my hands. B point is severity. Debate becomes a forum for judge preferences and not against what the hell is good enough. That is super arbitrary, leads to judge intervention, and obviously the judge is going to pick and choose their own biases, even if using a policy panel. I get it, but spec was pretty much not answered. Second is predictability. Our model says the negative what they do and do not have to prepare for. Third is no substantive credit and race. The topics with theories of research argument about models for the debate and debating about the best vision of the topic is key because it prevents the affirmatives from constantly pushing the bounds of reasonable results of both debates. Fourth is competing in terms of the best real world debates about the topic corrupt real world debates about progress and implementation. Fifth is it collapses reasonability collapses because you have to use offensive and determine reasonability is what concedes competing interest. Six is no if we win all of offense it proves they're unreasonable. Competing interest was dropped. It's super arbitrary. Risk of offense is being bad. The robust explanation of the 2 and R outweighs any argument that the 2 I go for because it's going to be me.
216. 216. Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Top level of the 2-and-R may have been a little persuasive, weaving a sob story about them not being able to engage, but ask yourself the question, is me having to list every state that we eliminate instead of saying states so bad that we should lose? The answer is no, but first, we'll start with their offense. Their interpretation's fundamentally arbitrary. They say it's key to some positions, but they can't really list them without devolving into niche arguments that aren't really an opportunity cost the app and don't reflect the prevailing literature. Ask yourself, why is deterrence, why bioweapons, etc., dependent on us listing every single state we see in the planet? If you can't answer that, and especially when the 2-and-R was way too unclear on that, you shouldn't vote negative. There was a moment in the 2-and-R when they said arbitrary infinite regress kills norms. We'll concede that, but that means it's good game because it zeroes out their offense and when every time they talked about it's a question of models, you should look at this because if infinite regress kills norms, then an unpredictable norm can't be enforced, which they agree with. So which it zeroes out their offense because an unpredictable norm can't be enforced. So you can't resolve any of their impacts in other rounds, even if you endorse this sort of model and debate, which means you should vote on any risk of our offense. That means it outweighs on basic turns fairness because the app turns into a 6-minute plan text because they can force us to spec implementation in color, which congressmen vote on it, etc. Because they have dissats about that too. That hoses the app because we never get any substance education, but also we just don't get to read our strategy, and if strategy comes first, then you have to prioritize this. It outweighs because of app times. Even if there is some sort of literature bias, is structurally hosted. If debate is really a game about strategy, then that has to sequence for any of those arguments. So they conceded that it also comes first on the rearm debate, the line by line. They say tiebreakers. They say it's a huge app bias topic. It's not app bias. They get things like deterrence, which there's a wealth of literature on, picks, lots of different shift arguments they can innovate on, etc. Also, there is a strong pro-nuclear field, and even if they went on that, they haven't proven that country offense uniquely resolves it. So, which means that this doesn't really make any sense. They say smart apps answer deterrence, so it's key against tiny apps. We don't lead to tiny apps, but also there's no reason why it's uniquely key. They say it's key to education. Our interp is net better for education. That was because otherwise they lead to terrible, not even process debates, just like what state did you specify debates. The line, they say. Also, you should extend drop the argument here. They dropped it. You should just stick me with defending all states if it's really so bad. That means they get every dissad link, and they have no reason why that does not solve if it's really key to all their ground arguments. That also proves that they could have made arguments like they could have read cards, etc. To stick us with this argument. So which resolves all their ground offense. Now the line line they say that we can that it's reactionary. That's that's irrelevant to the question of arbitrariness writ large. All of our offense about them specking other arguments proves that their argument about different processes is disingenuous. Like specifying use in states isn't limited. Our counterexamples prove. Yeah.
Good debate.